Hello students, I hope my previous videos were very helpful for you all. If you require any changes, do let me know, do comment so that I can make other videos according to your will, according to your requirement. Okay, so today I'm going to start with the second chapter of Flamingo book, and the topic is Lost Spring. Before we understand the topic, let me discuss the second word, that is spring. Now students, here spring is associated with childhood. Just like spring season is the phase of the nature when flowers bloom, when there is utter growth, when there is renewal. Okay, similarly childhood is the time when a child blooms physically, emotionally, socially and mentally. Okay, but in India they live in poverty and childhood is lost in exploitation. Now why this happens, we will find out. So I guess you must have understood the word spring's meaning, so you can make out what is the meaning of the title Lost Spring. Let me tell you, it says lost childhood. Okay, lost childhood, lost spring season, which is very colorful, which is full of fragrance, which is full of freshness, which is full of growth. That is the phase which our children, okay, or not only our children but the children of entire globe who are into child labor, who are working under some master, okay, they lack this special phase of their life. They are not able to play, they are not able to play with their friends, they are not able to have good time with their families. Okay, so we are including everybody, every children rather, who are not able to avail this wonderful phase of their life because of poverty. Poverty is the core reason of child labor, and till now we are not able to eradicate it. So many organizations have come into scene to help them out, but they are not able to eradicate totally. I'll discuss which all organizations had taken steps and what are the reasons that it is not being cured right from the root. Okay, so for that please be with me and see this video properly. Students, we will find the answer in this story. But before that, let us talk about the writer Anees Jung. She was born in the year 1944, and she has written so many articles. She had also been columnist, she had also been a journalist, and she had worked for Times of India, Youth Times section, and she became very famous by writing Unveiling India. Here she revealed the true picture of India, and the same she does in this particular title as well, Lost Spring. So let us find out what are her views. Students, I'm talking in details about this particular topic because It will help you out in writing article on child labor as well. Okay, so please be patient. All right, let me discuss the child labor population in entire globe. According to research work, 61% of child labor is in Asia continent and 32% of child labor is in Africa. Then 7%, which is the least population of child labor, it is in Latin America. Now, it's not that we did not make any rules and regulations against child labor. We have made. Okay, there is an organization called ILO, International Labour Organization, an United Nations agency which was established in the year 1919 to look after the financial and physical health of children. Okay, not only that, there is another organization, International Program on the Elimination of Child Labor. This also works for the benefit of child labor. There is another organization, International Initiative to End Child Labor, IIECL. Okay, so all these are organizations which are working against child labor, and let me tell you, it helped as well. In the country called Prussia, in the year 1839, excuse me, in the year 1839, the working hours of children were decreased. In the year 1839, again, Britain enacted factory laws. In the year 1841, France also passed a law against child labor. Then in 1938, USA had passed Fair Labor Standard Act. Okay, not only that, UNICEF is continuously working for the upliftment of children, okay, in this regard. In India as well, we have different laws, different articles which goes against child labor, and the first was passed in the year 1986. Then Article 21A, it talks about right to education of children. Article 24, it talks about prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. Article 39, it talks about overall health of workers. And not only that, International Labour Organization, ILO, it also interferes in the matter of child labor in India as well. So there are many laws, there are many punishments. Even then, child labor is flourishing. Why? We will try to find out the reason. Let's start this story by discussing the theme first. The topic Lost Spring, it deals with forced laborers because they are extremely poor, because they are into grinding poverty, they are not able to think about any other option. And let's move to the point 2, which is connected with point number 1. Because they are very poor, they cannot think of education. They'll think about survival. Every day they earn and they leave. If they skip their hard work for just a day, then there will be a problem for not only that particular child but to entire family. Therefore, these 2 points are interconnected. Let's move to the third one now. Exploitation of elite class. Elite class, who are very rich class of the society, who are in the upper strata of the society, they are exploiting these workers because they don't have any option, because they cannot go for other opportunity, better opportunity. They are being mold the rules and regulations according to their benefit. And another topic they is get commission from elite class, and they, in greed, they forget that for what purpose they are selected by common people. And therefore, in order to make them sensitive towards small children who are working in the factory, this chapter is written. And it is not only for the people who are rich, or it is not only for the politician, but it is for us also. Because if they cannot do, we can do something for them, then we should proceed ahead. Let's talk about the last point, last theme, and that is to break the shackles, to break the confinement, to break the locked door. Now, it can be possible through education. They should be provided with education, and for that, government has taken numerous steps. Now, it is our duty to take them out. If society will question, like we who are living in society, if we will question that why person's child is not going to the school, certainly they will send them to school, because in the school everything is provided: midday meal, books, dresses, and everything that that a child requires. Students, here we in our syllabus we have two stories from the collection of stories by Anees Jung. And first story talks about Sahib Alam's life, who is from Bangladesh, migrated to India. And story 2 is about Mukesh, who is from Firozabad of India itself. Let's start with the first story now. And here we find interaction between Anees Jung with Sahib Alam, who is a rag picker. Story 1, the title is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, his home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. Students, here we get to see the speaker Sahib Alam. He is into rag picking, and it is a habitual action of this little boy. He does not have any other option. Every day he comes out of his home and he tries to find out something important in the garbage. It could be gold, it could be plastic, it could be cloth, it could be shoes, it could be any item which he can sell and get some money for his family to survive. And he says that he had to get into this profession. It is because he is migrated to India, and there is nothing left in Bangladesh. He had green fields, but it is destroyed in a storm. And in India, there is no other option than rag picking for him. Therefore, he is compelled to do this. And students, here in this paragraph, based on examination point of view, you must remember the literary device that is used here in scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps. Here, the writer uses hyperbole or exaggeration, because that trivial thing, the trivial thing like plastic, cloth and shoes, remnants, etc. are compared with gold. So it is overstatement, it is exaggeration. The writer is talking, high about something. That is why it is hyperbole, and you need to remember it for examination. Let's move to the next para now. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I'll go. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? It takes a longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Sahib Alam is very much enthusiastic to go to school, but in his locality there is no such educational institutions where he can go and learn. It is because they are living in a tent, they are refugees, they are illegal residents of that particular area. So nobody thinks about their development, nobody thinks about establishing, constructing schools out there. During elections, A hope erupts in their hearts as they represent a large vote bank for politicians. It is again time for free gifts as baits, like a small baits like gamchas, money, food packets, etc. are given, and politicians make promise that educational hubs will be constructed and their condition will be uplifted. They will be given employment. They will be made skilled. Okay, but all these promises go in vain after the election gets over. So Anees Jung realizes that even she had made a fake promise, because of which Sahib-e-Alam had become disheartened after knowing that the school is not ready as Anees Jung had promised. Here, Anees Jung had made casual remarks. He just wanted to know willingness of Sahib-e-Alam. It was not that she is going to construct a school. Let's move further. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. Sahib-e-Alam, he announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. Gradually, Anees Jung knew each and every rag picker. Now here, when Sahib-e-Alam was asked about his name, he says Sahib-e-Alam, but he does not know the meaning of it. According to meaning of his name, he is the Lord of Universe. But Sahib is a poverty-stricken, barefooted, homeless rag picker who scrounges, who searches the garbage dumps of Delhi in search of livelihood. So it is so ironical that the person who is according to his name, she is a Lord of Universe who provides food, who provides protection to entire mankind. Okay, but Sahib-e-Alam is a rag picker. So he is contrast to his name. This is very important question, and another important question from this paragraph is an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Now here, what do we see? Two literary devices are used. First one is metaphor of quantity, not quality. Okay, and second one is simile. Army of barefoot boys is a metaphor because it is describing the largeness of the group, and like birds is a simile where the boys has been compared to the scavenger birds hunting around these dumps. Okay, just like the birds, the rag picker boys are free spirited and enjoy the revel in their freedom, enjoy their celebration, enjoy their merriment in their freedom. I hope it's clear. Now let's move to the further lines. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I ask one. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf. He answers simply. Even if she did, he will throw him off, adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says the third boy who has never owned a pair all his life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities, on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. This particular paragraph shows us that poverty is everywhere, be it town, be it village, everywhere. And small children, they want to conceal their poverty by saying that it is a tradition. It is a tradition to remain barefoot whole day. and we know that it is forced necessity because they are in abject poverty, they are in grinding poverty, therefore they are not able to come out of it. They don't have any other opportunities to give up this life and move to another for better living conditions. Let's see the next paragraph now. I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. Here, the writer narrates a story told to her by a man from Udupi. And Udupi is a city in the southwest Indian states of Karnataka, which is known for Krishna temple specially. So, when he was a young boy, he would walk to the school. On the way, he would cross a temple where his father worked as a priest. He would stop at the temple and pray to God to bless him with a pair of shoes. After 30 years, see, that particular boy's wish was not fulfilled then and there. But after 30 years, the writer visited the town and the temple. Now the place was nearly empty. The new priest lived in the backyard of the temple, and there the writer could see little bit development because there were plastic chairs, and a young boy came running. He was wearing grey colored school uniform. It means education was also flourishing gradually in that Udupi city. The writer wants to say that the financial position of the priest at the temple had improved over the last 30 years. Now, he could afford education for his children, and she was also reminded of another boy from that very city only who got a pair of shoes. He had prayed to goddess that he may never lose the shoes that he had got. Here, the goddess had granted his prayer, as the boy never lost his footwear after that. This particular paragraph and the two incidences shows that the underprivileged value anything that they get because they have been longing for it. Here, the concern of writer is that after 30 years also, very little insignificant development has been seen, whereas in other places there is drastic changes. Therefore, writer says that the pace of development should be doubled in order to ease the life of common people. Let's move further in this story. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others, like the rag pickers in my neighborhood, remain shoeless. Students, I have already told you that in one of the cities of Udupi, a few of the development can be seen. Now, when we compare Udupi and Simapuri of Delhi, where Sahib-e-Alam lives along with his family members, there we see no improvement at all, even after many years that they had been living in Delhi. Children living in slums are a very unfortunate lot. They are born to destitute refugee parents. Then these children grow up in makeshift, in tarpaulin roofs, where there is no proper drainage system, where there is no nutritious food. Okay, and every day they are struggling for survival in the midst of want and hunger, and they take to picking rags at a very early age, which destroys their physical health as well. Students, the video is too lengthy, therefore I'll continue with this story in my next video. Thank you. Hello students, this is second part of the chapter Lost Spring, which is penned by Anees Jung. And let us recapitulate quickly before proceeding ahead. In our last video, we saw that Anees Jung is very sensitive towards child labor, and she is talking about grinding poverty which is prevailing in India. She also describes the factual events that she witnessed around her. Considering the first part of the story, we can say that the childhood of human being is the spring period of one's life, and that is very true. It is full of fun, frolic, play and pleasure. It is known for its innocence, but there are children like Sahib-e-Alam, who is a rag picker, and he migrated from Bangladesh to Delhi in search of some opportunity, but here also he could survive because of rag picking only. Apart from that, his life was not changed at all. Every day he had to work, and because of parents' poverty stricken condition, they are not able to provide education, which is the main problem with the little children. Let's move ahead in this story. Acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simhapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Simhapuri was then a wilderness. Anees Jung and Sahib-e-Alam became friends very soon, and Anees Jung was taken to Sahib-e-Alam's place. Then she realized, just like a coin has two sides, every city has two faces: the bright, the well lit, and the illuminated world of the rich, and the dark, dingy, depressing world of poor. The poor exist on the periphery, constantly looking for a bright world, isn't it? And the rich are dependent on them to maintain the glamour of the world. That is also another universal truth. Rich people cannot earn money on their own. They require laborers, they require workers. Okay, without workers, they won't be able to get the product, they won't be able to get the profit. The writer further says, despite being ugly underside of the big cities, slum and their dwellers, like Sahib-e-Alam, have become an intrinsic part of the world of the rich, as they are interlinked and interdependent. The rich have the money, but they don't desire to work, and the poor have no money, therefore they are compelled to slog to sustain, right? Students, through the eyes of Anees Jung, when we look into the life of Sahib-e-Alam, we get to see that they live in a very unhygienic condition, where there is no proper sanitation, there is no water, pure water, there is no electricity connection, and they are in abject poverty. When we see the situation minutely, we see the refugee population of Simhapuri represents a large vote bank for almost all the political parties, and at some stage these illegal occupants, remember, illegal occupants of government land around cities, are provided ration cards to benefit political sharks in the election process. Remember, these ration cards are not given for identity, but for getting votes from them. And it is understood that those who will provide them with the ration card, which will give them ration in the ration shops, okay, they are going to vote for them. They don't have the bother about who is doing for the development, because that is not their headache. Their headache is to survive, their headache is to earn food. Okay, so therefore their basic necessities are also limited. Let's move ahead, students. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in tattered saris when I ask them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Whenever they find food, Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival, and survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Here we see ultimately it is food that a person requires. Sahib Alam, along with his family, if they would have got food in Bangladesh, they would not have left their homeland. But they migrated to India, thinking that they will get some opportunity to earn their living. And of course, they earn, but it was not a respectable job at all. But they had to do it because it was not their country. I must further say that the children of slums like Simapuri are offsprings or newborn or children of homeless rag pickers. Due to extreme poverty, their parents are not able to provide for them. And because of this grinding poverty, even they are supporting their family members in earning some money. Therefore, right from their initial stage, right from their spring season, right from their childhood, they start earning. And this is how they become partners in survival for their parents. Let's move ahead now. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is hope of finding more. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. Here, writer Anees Jung wants to tell us that every day they used to pick up the rags, and therefore they have perfected the art of scrounging. They have become very perfect in this. They are artists now. And here, this is a hyperbole again, because rag picking is compared with fine art. It is being exaggerated. Okay, that mere task of rag picking cannot be compared with art. Okay, but a writer is doing it, therefore it is hyperbole. This is done to show that how expert small children have become in rag picking. Another very important line is garbage to them is gold. Students, if you remember, at the inception of this chapter, I told you all that garbage for them is gold. It is gold because they can find gold also, they can find any other thing which is valuable for them. Therefore, it is exaggeration. Therefore, it is hyperbole again. So, this line you must remember, garbage to them is gold, and gold signifies anything which is important for them. Because of this art of scrounging in the garbage, they are able to get food even though it is not nutritious and tasty. And because of this mere art, they are able to have above their head, even though it is leaking. It means that something is better than nothing. But the utility of scrounging in the garbage does not stop here. It is not only for getting bread and roof above their head, it is something more for children. And what is it? I'll tell you. It is something which encourages them to search more in the garbage. It is a kind of game. When they get something valuable, they want to search in the garbage more and more so that they can get more expensive things. Okay, so it is not only way of survival, but it is also a means of entertainment. It is also a way to make them cheerful, make them playful, and have fun and frolic. And when Sahib-e-Alam says so, his face lights up. It shows that he is extremely happy picking rags. And this is not his fault. It is not his fault because another world of education, another world of enlightenment is not shown to him. He has created a limitation to himself that some money he will find in the garbage, and he will be able to provide food and roof to his family members. Okay, that's it. Apart from that, he does not have any expectation and he does not have any hope also. Therefore, the writer says the definition of garbage to parents and to the children are different. For parent, it is a means of survival, it is a way of earning money, but for children, apart from earning money, it is entertainment, it is a game, it is a way of making themselves happy, etc. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the Neighborhood Club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes, but that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says, in a matter of an explanation. When we minutely observe Sahib-e-Alam, we find that he was extremely interested in studies. He wanted to get education. Not only that, he was interested in sports as well. Now here, the discarded tennis shoes with holes in their soles are a dream come true for Sahib-e-Alam. And it is for two reasons. Number one is, he did not have any shoes to wear. And number two, he was very fond of playing tennis. Though it was unlikely for him to get a chance to play the game. At least the shoes came to fulfill his dream partially. In his locality, there is a generous gatekeeper who allows Sahib-e-Alam to go inside the gate and use swing. Even though he is not able to play tennis, he can play swing and satisfy his desires. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. Here it is revealed that some rich boy gave tennis shoes to Sahib. He gave them to Sahib because he did not want to wear them as there was a hole in one of them. The fact that there was a hole in one of them did not bother Sahib-e-Alam because till now he had been walking barefoot. Therefore, having a shoe was dream come true for Sahib-e-Alam, and it is better to have something in his feet than walking barefoot. Let's read out the last paragraph now. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in the distance. I'm paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Does he like the job? I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry on lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. Finally, Sahib-e-Alam had taken a conflicting step, and he had done this in order to provide a little bit more money to his family members. In rag picking, it was not sure that every day he will get money or something valuable, but here it is certain, in tea stall it is certain that he will be provided with the money and meals. But the problem was that he was not happy. It is because although the job at a tea stall provided him with a fixed monthly income, it had taken away privilege of being his own master. From being a free-spirited, carefree bird answerable to no one, he has become an overworked, unhappy child with no trace of childhood left in him. This was this has taken privilege of being his own master. Now he is bound to the job. He is burdened with the responsibilities. While picking rag, he was very much free. Okay, he was his own master, but now he was not. And finally, we see that he was unhappy, but it was good for him because a certain amount will be given to his parents. Students, we cannot be happy with the decision that Sahib-e-Alam had taken. It is because he has a long way to go. He has to get educated. He has to support his family members. He cannot be a chotu in a tea stall for entire life. He has to upgrade, isn't it? And this can be possible through education. And yet he is not shown any kind of sympathy, any kind of care by anyone from society. And that initiative we have to take. Now, in my next video, after completing second story, I'll talk about how we can eradicate child labor. Till then, you please let me know whether the video was helpful to you all or not. Thank you. Hello students, in our last class, we have already started with Lost Spring, and Lost Spring is written by Anees Jung. In your syllabus, there are two stories from this book, Lost Spring, Stories of Stolen Childhood, and first story is about Sahib-e-Alam, who is a rag picker. Basically, they are from Sahib-e-Alam and his entire family. They are from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Now, they had to migrate to India because entire agricultural field of Sahib-e-Alam was destroyed in natural calamity. Therefore, in search of some opportunity and means of survival, they had migrated to India. And even after residing in India for so many years, they could not upgrade themselves. Finally, he had to work in a tea stall where he was paid 800 rupees and all his meals. And he was not happy. But when we see financially, he was at a better place. Dear students, in my last video, I had forgotten to mention one very important point. And let me complete that first and then I'll move to the second story. And the line which is extremely important is, Simapuri is a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. See students, out here we find the literary device antithesis, and antithesis means a rhetoric device or a literary device by which two contrasting ideas are juxtaposed in parallel form, or in simple word, antithesis is contrast. Okay, so now here we see Simapuri is underdeveloped and Delhi is extremely developed. Okay, when we question somebody about Delhi, everybody will be able to tell where it is and for what things it is famous, but not about Simapuri. But ironically, Simapuri lies, Simapuri is situated just next to Delhi. Therefore, in terms of development, in terms of better living, in terms of getting jobs, in terms of getting better opportunities, Simapuri is very, very, very far from Delhi. Therefore, the comparison is made, and the comparison is totally contrast to each other. Students, in story 2, it is Mukesh who is the protagonist, and by vocation he is a bangle maker. And it is not only he, his father, his forefathers, everybody were there in glass bangle industry, bangle making industry in Firozabad. Okay, and others had never dreamt of changing their vocation ever. But Mukesh thinks of doing so. Mukesh thinks of becoming something else, and let us find out what is his dream. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. Now see, somebody said that in order to accomplish your dream, you need to take the first step by dreaming. Alright, and this first step is already achieved by Mukesh. He says, I'll become a motor mechanic. He is very much passionate about cars. He is very much passionate about vehicles. Okay, and by this we get to see Mukesh is very much courageous because he dared to dream of a very different life, okay, which none of his family members has done. And not only that, he wants to carve out a new destiny. He wants to give shape to a new future. Okay, not only to himself but to his entire life, to entire family as well. Okay, so this is the positive thing that we get to see in Mukesh, a bangle maker. I will learn to drive a car, he answers. Looking straight into my eyes, his dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets that fill his town Firozabad, famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. Here we find Mukesh as an optimist. It is because even though he does not know how to drive a car, he says he will learn. This shows that how much enthusiastic he was towards learning the art of garage. But the question is this dream going to be practicalized? The answer is no. Why? It is because even if he will leave a day's work as a bangle maker, he is not going to survive. Okay, he can dream, and that is what he has done, but he cannot get support from his family members and from society as well in order to have his dream accomplished. That is the main problem of Mukesh. He can dream but cannot accomplish his desire. And here it says that his dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of street that fills his town, Firozabad. It is going to become just like illusion. The illusion that we see in desert. Okay, it is just an eyewash. It is just, something which deceives us. The same way, his dream is going to deceive Mukesh because it will never be practicalized. And for making it happen, he requires specially support of society. He needs somebody to send him to school, which is not possible, and forget about getting help from his parents. Therefore, because of all these constraints, he is trapped in bangle making industry and he cannot dream of getting out of it. But if somebody helps him, certainly he will be out of it. Firozabad is a city in UP, Uttar Pradesh. okay, one of the Indian states. And this is the main industry, this is the prime industry for bangle making. From here only, maximum export of bangles are done to other cities and other towns of India. Okay, so here, wherever you shower your gaze, wherever you see, you will find bangles of different colors. And in order to make these bangles, entire generations had slogged. Okay, they could not think of different world, they could not think of world of education, they could not think of getting better job so that they can earn more money. This was their fate, they had accepted, and they were working continuously. Even after working for generations in this glass bangle industry, they could not uplift themselves, they could not upgrade themselves. It is because the money that they received as their wages, it is too low. The hours that they put in for working and the money that they receive in their hand, there is no comparison at all. Therefore, they could not think of missing their work even for a day. Therefore, they had given up thinking about any other profession for a change. Let's move to the next paragraph now. Mukesh family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperatures, in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. Here, writer says, Mukesh family is among them. It means even Mukesh's family belongs to bangle making community. And everybody is very much engaged in that. Mukesh's father, and even Mukesh's forefather were engaged in this particular vocation or profession. Okay. Now, nobody knows that it is illegal. It is illegal to make children work in these dingy cells, in these dull, dark furnaces. Okay, but even after knowing, do you think people will go and report it to police? Certainly no, because whatever it is giving them daily bread. By this work, they are earning their daily bread. Therefore, nobody is going to report. And the condition is so pathetic out here. Small children should go outside. They should have fresh air for their growth. They should play. They should be active. They should be like a squirrel, okay, who is engaged in fun and frolic. But it is not so. There is no proper infrastructure. There is no basic amenities, facilities, and these furnaces are very ill lit. There is no proper light. These are ill ventilated. There is no proper exchange of fresh air. And not only that, they are working without protective eye gear, because of which their eyesights are taken away at very early age. And because of continuous working in same position, their postures are also ruined. So when they come out of these cells, when they come out of these furnaces, they don't remain normal. They are physically tired, their posture is ruined, and not only that, they become aged very quickly. And as we know, Anees Jung, she was very much friendly to these children, be it Sahibe Alam or Mukesh. They were very happy with the writer, and one day Mukesh had taken Anees Jung to his house, and he is so happy. There is brightness in his eyes because he wants to show the writer the house which is being rebuilt. Okay, the house, of course, it is not a well built house. Okay, it is just a house which is, it is just a construction of hay and straw. Okay, but even then he is happy because this is possession of Mukesh compared to others. We walk down stinking lanes choked with garbage, past homes that remain hovels with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. We enter a half-built shack. In one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. Mukesh lives in slum area and there is no proper sanitation, there is no proper drainage system, there is no proper garbage dumping area. Okay, the structures are not proper, they are wobbly. Okay, they are shaky, some are half made, some are left unconstructed. So we find the area is not at all cheerful. Now here also they had to live, and not only human beings but animals as well. Okay, they had to coexist with animals, maybe because they reared animals for selling it, for eating also, but because of lack of space, both animals and human beings had to remain under one roof, and this shows the primitive time. Okay, the ancient time where especially nomads, okay, especially our ancestors used to live, where they used to eat animal and they used to survive. Here in Firozabad, they had to live in such way. It is because there is no other option and they are into perpetual poverty. Because of their penury, because of their poverty, they are not able to think of a better living society or area. Finally, Mukesh reaches to his house with the writer, and we readers get to see, it was not a pakka house. It was made by straw and hay. It was a temporary house, but they are very proud in having this house also because this is their possession. Others, they don't have even such kind of house for living. Okay, and inside the house we get to see there is something being cooked by a lady. Who was she? Let us find out. On the ground, in large aluminium platters, are more chopped vegetables. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother, not much older in years. She has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the house, already in charge of 3 men, her husband, Mukesh, and their father. First curse of society, that is child labor, we have already seen in the furnace. Second one is here inside the house of Mukesh, that is child marriage. This little girl who is not adequate for getting married, she is housed, okay? She is housed for taking charge of this entire house. She is Bahu, okay, daughter-in-law. And in Indian system, it is Bahu's duty to do everything for entire family. Okay, so she is also devoid of her spring season. That is, even she has lost her spring season of her life. Do you think that this little girl is not desiring of playing? Do you think she is feeling happy being burdened as a bahu, as a wife? No, not at all. But this is instilled in their mind that after so and so age they should get married and they should be in charge of some family, and because of that they don't voice they don't voice as well, and there lies the problem. And this is prime curse of our society. Let us see further what happens in the story. Another point that attracts our attention is aluminium platters. Now see here, aluminium platters are another reason for being poor. It is because aluminium utensils, it absorbs the nutrition that is present in the food. Okay, and when we eat that becomes lack of nutrition. And this is plenty, this is in abundance in poor family members. Okay, it is because they are very cheap. Okay, therefore we prefer them. Now, when somebody eats in aluminium platter, they are eating just food but not nutritious food. Therefore, we should abandon aluminium platters, aluminium foils as soon as possible. And remember, aluminium platters, it creates Alzheimer, it creates heart disease, it creates kidney disease, and in order to cure them, poor people, they waste their money and entire life they remain poor. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings a veil closer to her face. As custom demands, daughters in law must veil their faces before male elders. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his two sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. Students, according to conventional system, it is necessary for daughter-in-laws to cover their face in front of elderly people, okay, especially male. This is regarded as a mark of respect for them. Alright, so even Mukesh Bhabhi did that, but there is unspoken desire for freedom. There is unspoken desire to enjoy her childhood as well. Okay, but because she is into this system, she has to obey the rules and regulations of her community also. Unlike Mukesh, Bhabhi does not go for working in glass furnaces, but there is more work for her in house itself, because she shoulders the responsibility, she shoulders the burden of entire household work. Okay, and she is the in charge of all three members. Let's talk about Mukesh's father now. He is a representative of underpaid and overexploited bangle makers of Firozabad. And till now, what father has done? He just had a hand-to-mouth existence throughout his life, okay? And despite exploring two professions, that is, as a tailor and as a bangle maker, he has not been able to build either a pakka house or send his small children to school. Mukesh's father had expertise in making of bangles, and this is the art which he had given it to his upcoming generation, that is Mukesh and his brother. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles. In the house, in the yard, in every house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. Here, Mukesh's grandmother views the art of bangle making as a destiny of her family. Her husband's blindness, their misfortune and impoverished condition, she feels it was pre-decided by God. Okay, it was predestined. It is because years of deprivation and years of suffering made her think so. So many years they had tried and there is no scope of betterment. Therefore, they thought that it is their karma. It is already written in their faith. It is already written in their destiny, okay, to become bangle maker. And this is the viewpoint of grandmother. She is a fatalist, okay, who thinks that whatever has to happen, that will happen, and whatever is happening in their life, it was already written by God, so it is happening. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow lie in mounds in unkempt yards, are piled on four-wheeled handcarts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town, and in dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Students, here we need to understand the irony which is revealed by Anees Jung. She says that in each nooks and corner of Firozabad we can see variety of beautiful bangles which are of different hues, which are of different colors. But the one who are making it, the laborers who are making it, their life is devoid of playfulness. There is no happiness. Their entire life is into it. They right from the dawn to dusk they work, but they are not paid well, okay, because of which their entire life is slogging into it. Their entire life is ruined into it. Alright, so the one who are creating colorful, beautiful bangles, their own life is not beautiful at all. Their life is ugly. The place where they live is ugly. Okay, there is no color in their life, color of happiness, color of fun, color of merriment. Let's see other lines. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman, shouldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine, I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. Here in these factories, small children, they have to work entire day and throughout night. Therefore, their eyes are adjusted more with dark than with light. So when they go out, okay, their eyes are unadjusted with the normal schedule. Therefore, they lose their eyesight before time. And here in the story, we see a girl called Savita. She is just like Mukesh, who is working in glass bangle industry, and she is also shouldering pieces of glass. That is, she is making bangle. Okay, and she has become just like machine. Whatever she is doing very quickly. Okay, just like a tongs of a machine. It means she has become so much expert in doing that she is doing it very speedily. Okay, and she does not know what is the sanctity, what is the purity of these bangles. She has to make it in order to earn money. Apart from that, there is no definition of these bangles, but she must know that in Indian culture this is what represents suhag. But because she is totally unaware about its sanctity, she has only one definition, and that is, it is a means of survival for her. And when she will become a bride, that time she is going to understand its sanctity. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, and red bangles rolled onto her wrists. She will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया, she says, in a voice drained of joy. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That is what she has reaped. The bangles, it symbolizes suhag of women. Okay, without bangles, we don't see any marriages being held. Alright, and this little girl, Savita, who is making bangles, Very soon, even she will get married. Even her hands will be adorned. Even her hands will be decorated with these bangles. But so ironically, these bangles and her married status would not bring any positive change in her life. She will be burdened with responsibilities, and because of her continuous working in bangle industry, she might lose her eyesight at very early age as well. And not only that, even she has to struggle for getting her meals and other necessary items. Even she will become another Bahu, just like Mukesh Bhabi, who has lost her childhood at very early age. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, "I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in." Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. He has a roof over his head, the cry of not having money to do anything except carrying on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Here the man says, he has exhausted entire life in this bangle making, and somehow he could make a house for his family members, and this is an achievement for him. Others, they don't have a roof to live underneath. Okay, but why this is happening? Why he is not able to uplift himself? Let us see. It is number one, because of poverty. It is because of acute poverty. Number two, it is lack of education. If they were educated, they would have understood what are the other options that they can opt in their life. Not only that, if they were not exploited by their owners, they would have thought of doing something beneficial for themselves. But because of back breaking and mind numbing hard work at glass furnaces, they are left with no time, no desire to dream for a better future. Eventually, what happened? They have accepted their poverty as their destiny. In the last line, we get to see, being born in a caste of bangle makers in Firozabad, it is both a destiny and a curse. Their birth, extreme poverty, lack of education, and opportunity makes them take up the profession of bangle making at a very early age. I have already told you, because of lack of options. This closes all doors and stops them from exploring any other avenues in life. They end up losing their spirit, and they end up losing their eyesight as well. Students, I'll continue with the story in my next video, and I'll compare both Sahib Alam and Mukesh as well, and I'll talk about eradication of poverty and rules and regulations as well. Hello everyone, I am back with the last episode of Lost to Spring. Until now we have learned that Mukesh, who is a bangle maker, he is full of hope and positive attitude. It is because even though he is into grinding poverty, even though he is born into poverty ridden family, he is able to dream. Alright, he is able to dream to become a motor mechanic. We know that it cannot be practicalized right now, but if somebody will come to help him out and provide him with education, then certainly he is going to accomplish his dream. He needs support from society, he needs support from NGOs. If he will be able to get a good education, then certainly he will be able to shape his career as well. Students, in our last episode, we had talked about father of Mukesh, who is incompetent in providing proper education and proper food to his children. He very easily accepted the unbroken lineage of bangle making, alright, and he doesn't want to fight against his owners. It is because being a day-to-day laborer, all the hope and all the optimism has been destroyed in him. He doesn't want to work anything extra from bangle making. He doesn't want to try anything extra, okay, because he had tried once to be a tailor where he failed very badly. Therefore, he had no option except bangle making, and this is the skill which he had perfected in, and this he had transferred. This is the art which he had instilled in his children as well, and because of this art only, Mukesh and his brothers are earning little bit of money to become partners in survival. And there are ladies who are working in the furnaces, okay, but married women who are wearing bangles and unmarried women who are making it. The situation differs out here. Okay, let me tell you more about the bangles when it is related with ladies. See, these multicolored bangles are a symbol of suhag, or long life of husband, um, and auspiciousness in marriage. We Indians have not seen any marriages which are which are performed without bangles. Okay, be it married ladies, be it unmarried ladies, they wear it. For married ladies, I have already told that it is a symbol of suhag. It is a long life of husband. But unmarried women, they wear it because it shows happiness. It is a mark of joy, happiness. All right. So here, when we see very closely, we see Savita is also making bangles, but there is no happiness, there is no joy in her eyes. Alright, so here we get to see that it is only a means of survival for ladies, be it married or unmarried. Alright, and another paradoxical thing is that the ladies who are wearing bangles for the sake of their husband, for the long life of their husbands, okay, because of those bangle making, their husbands' eyesights are getting ruined, their husbands' health are getting deteriorated. So what is happening? Eventually those bangles, okay, the bangles that ladies are wearing, because of those bangles, their husbands are inching towards death. So this is, paradoxical situation that we witness here. Students, another very important point that we need to notice out here is that ladies are making very beautiful, very colorful bangles, but their own life is so miserable. Their own life is devoid of good health, happiness, joy, and cheerfulness. So, this is so ironical that we find here. Till here, it was recapitulation of last story of Mukesh. Now we will move ahead to complete the story. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. Why not organize yourself into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who trapped their fathers and forefathers. Here, the writer says that there is only a hairline difference in Firozabad because there is no drastic change. It's been years, but yet nobody has come up with their plans, their rules, their regulations in order to improve the condition of bangle makers. The situation which was then of Firozabad, it is same now as well. Therefore, there is hardly any difference that we get to see. And writer also, she observes them very closely and tries to arouse in them initiative and ability to dream. And she has a great sense of understanding because she has talked with young and old males and females, and she realizes that here survival is very important and not the identity, but for that they have to come out of the web of poverty. For that they need to organize themselves. For that they need a person who will lead their group, the person who is educated. for that, education is prime uh, element for them. Okay, after organizing themselves into a cooperative, certainly they can fight against unlawful behavior which is being meted to them. Here, poor laborers are trapped in vicious circle. Okay, the vicious circle is that they have already a problem, that is problem of poverty. Okay, there is another problem, that is lack of education. If they will have money, they will not be poor. If they will not be poor, they will be educated. Now with education they can upgrade themselves, they can get good jobs, and they can earn more money. But here the problem, number one problem is that they are in abject poverty. Number two, they don't have education, and these two problems are interrelated. Let's move to the next paragraph now. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal, they say. There is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. Students, in our society, the problem crops up when rescuer becomes ruiner. Okay, and here in the paragraph, the writer is talking about a society where everybody is corrupt, and we cannot imagine a society who is not intimidated of elite people. Okay, it is because police are not supportive, police are not taking care of uh, laborers. The police also turns deaf ear towards the pleading of these laborers. It is because they are given commission, they are bribed by these rich people, these middlemen, these businessmen, these sahukars. Therefore, they torture these common people so that they will not stand up together, they will not unite and talk against these sahukars, middlemen, etc. Students, leadership matters a lot. Okay, if a group of sheep is led by a lion, they are going to perform marvelously, because the quality of lion will be transferred to ships and they will perform just like a lion. But if a pride of lion is led by a sheep, then the contrary will happen, because the leader is ill informed, the leader lacks courage. Therefore, the quality of those pride of lion will be suppressed. So, here we see, because of lack of courage and because of lack of knowledge, they fail in each and every aspect. Students, here we need to focus on this last line. It says that daily laborers like Mukesh, his father, his brother, Savita, and that lady, okay, these people, if they skip a day's work, they won't be able to have their food, okay, not even their family. Therefore, keeping their family at risk, they cannot think of having a cooperative and fighting against their masters. Okay, it is because they are ill informed. Because of lack of information, they are not able to fight against them. Therefore, they win against their poverty. The rich people, the middlemen, politicians, police, and other people, they keep on doing injustice upon them because they have to earn money from them. If they will be educated, they will stop working for them, and they will not be able to get cheap laborers. Okay, their profit will decrease. Listening to them, I saw two distinct worlds. One of the family, caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other, a vicious circle of the sahukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. The writer out here is very much pained to see two distinct worlds: the world of haves that is rich people and have-nots, the unfortunate lot. Okay, and just like the two edges of a river, just like two banks of the river, they exist at the same place, but they cannot meet with each other, they cannot cooperate with each other. Now here when we see, we find every city has two faces: the bright, the well lit, and the illuminated world of the rich, and the dark, dingy, miserable, depressing world of the poor. The poor exist not in the theme market but in the periphery, alright, so that the society of rich will not be ruined. Okay, and even they want to live in a standard way, but nobody supports them. But this is also true that in order to maintain their glamour, okay, in order to maintain their fabulous life, they have to depend upon these laborers, these poor people. It is because they cannot do their own work by themselves. It is because they need people to polish their shoes. They need chotu to bring things from the market. They need somebody to work in their kitchen. They need somebody to clean their house. Alright, so therefore we cannot imagine a city which is full of rich people. It will never happen, because rich and poor, both of them have to coexist. But the very pathetic situation is that they are not cooperating. The rich people are not cooperating at all. I don't disagree that they are not being paid wages, even though it is low. But being rich, okay, being educated, they should take it as their social and moral responsibility. And they should take charge of at least one child or one member of the family, so that their burden will be less, and then upcoming generation will improve. Okay, they will not have to stick to bangle making, alright, or rag picking. So what will happen if one child is being taken care by one of the rich people of society, then automatically child labor will also eradicate, and they can have a wonderful future as well. If elite people will take initiative, then only. Let's move further now. Together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. According to the writer, a child worker like Mukesh is weighed down under two distinct worlds. The first world is of poverty-ridden family and caste stigma, which forces him to compromise. Okay, and second is the world of sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats, and politicians, which exploit and oppresses them a lot. Okay, they are given such a weight, okay, such a responsibility by which they cannot come out, they can never be free. Alright, therefore the writer talks about these two worlds. But when Anees Jung sees spark in the eyes of Mukesh in this very trapped condition, she becomes very happy. The happiness of Mukesh's face cheers her up as well. Let's move further. I want to be a motor mechanic, he repeats. He will go to a garage and learn, but the garage is a long way from his home. I will walk, he insists. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. In his small murmur there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. He is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of his town. Few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. Students, Here we see unique quality of Mukesh, okay, that we will talk in length. First of all, let us understand something else. Mukesh, like his peers, is born in a poverty stricken family, in a caste of bangle makers. Like all children of such families who are deprived of education, he was also forced into back breaking, mind numbing work in glass furnaces. But unlike his peers, his spark did not get extinguished. He was a rebel, okay? He was an agitator. He dared to dream of a different life and wished to become a motor mechanic. This little boy is ready to surmount all the problems in order to become a motor mechanic. He can walk, he can learn from somebody, for that he can do anything. So he's so much passionate about his dream, and someday, because of somebody's help, he is surely going to achieve it. Students, here in the last line, few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. It shows us that there is a limit to dream for poor people. They cannot dream to become everything. Mukesh cannot dream to become a pilot. It is because that is not accomplishable. Okay, that is not achievable. He can think of becoming a motor mechanic. He can think of driving a car. Okay, but he cannot dream high in his life. Students, by this I have completed second story also. Let us compare two boys, Sahib-e-Alam and Mukesh now. Okay, when we see Sahib-e-Alam, he was free while picking rags, but eventually he became trapped. But in the case of Mukesh, initially he was trapped, but he was dreaming to become free. Okay, this is the main difference, but the similarity is that the commonality in both the stories is that education can cure all the problems of human being. Students, just like Mukesh, even Sahib-e-Alam had dreams, okay, small dreams which he will be able to accomplish very soon if he will continue working in that tea stall. Okay, even though he is not happy, but economically gradually he is going to be sound. Okay, his dreams were, um, first he wanted to own a pair of shoes, he wanted to go to school and become educated, he wanted to play sports and lead a respectable life. Students, there are numerous children like Sahib-e-Alam and Mukesh whom we see every morning and in every shop, okay, providing us with tea and other things. Okay, but our past does not matter, right? How we are going to change our future, that matters a lot, and for that a person requires to be very adamant, okay, very firm and very determined. Then only they are going to change their future. In this regard, anyone can take inspiration, motivation from our former president Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was a newspaper seller, okay, during his childhood, but he became president. Okay, he is also known as Missile Man of India. All right, so this is vivid example that we see, and nobody can deny that. So if somebody is very much adamant to change their life, they can change. It is all in their mind. Students, after reading the chapter, if we skip this very crucial aspect, that is eradication of child labor, then it will be incomplete. The reading of chapter will be incomplete. So, what are the ways of eradication of child labor? Can we just say a small child to stay at home? Will that solve his problem? No, not at all, according to me. First of all, we need to find out why the child is in factories. Okay, why the child is in shops, why the child is working as a helper. All right, and another very important thing that we need to see is that what led that child to take up work in factories and shops. Students, I have made a list of things that we should do as a socially responsible people, so that we can curb down the social curse of child labor. And the first point says right to education. In India, there is free and compulsory education provided to all the children who are under the age of 14. Therefore, there is no money to be paid for their education. So, parents can freely send their children and get them good education. Secured jobs to parents. See, if children are sent to school, that is not going to solve the problem unless and until their parents are having secure jobs, because they need somebody to earn their bread as well. So if they are satisfied with their job, then certainly they are going to send their children for education, and they are going to work for their future as well. Next is third number is strict punishment for those who keep children under 14 years of age for work, be it as a domestic help or be it as a help for shops. Okay, if there is a fear of law among people, then they are not going to keep children for work. And this is seen in Hong Kong market of Siliguri as well, where the poster says child labor free market. Let's discuss point number 4, which says public awareness. Now, people should be aware that why we should avoid keeping small children as our laborers. Okay, it is because children are the future generation of any country. They have ample of opportunities. They have ample of capabilities as well to shape their future, to shape their country's future as well. Number 5 is media, and nobody can deny the significance of media in every aspect. Through media, we can threaten people. Through media, we can aware people. Through media, we can show that which laws are against child labor and what are their social and moral responsibilities, obligations towards society. Okay, number 6 says role of government and NGOs. Government has already done so many things for eradicating child labor. Now NGOs must come in front to find out whether the children under 14 years of age are being sent to schools or not. Now final one is realization of moral duties. This point I have already discussed, but again I am telling that being Indian citizen, we must think about our country as well. By this, I have completed Lost Spring. I hope you understood it. If you have any queries, now also you can drop a message. I'll surely reply to that. Thank you.